Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about sitting down and actually thinking through what exercises you're doing in a program and making sure that what you're doing makes sense towards your overall goals. And I say that with the understanding that different people train for different reasons. We train for different reasons, and we're all at different points in our journey, even if two people are training for the exact same goal. Obviously, there's differences between them at where they're at in their development, their weaknesses, their strengths, things like that. And so when we talk about this stuff, it's important that you sit down and assess what it is you want each exercise to do in your program, and to ask yourself the question, is this exercise thought out and meaningful? Is there a reason I'm doing this, or am I doing it just because? Just because. Now, I would say for people who want overall strength and fitness, you probably need an exercise that covers each of the 6 basic movement patterns. And remember, the big 3 power lifts only cover 3 of those 6. And people say, well, what do you mean? All right, pushing, pulling, squatting, all of that. Usually, outside of pushing and pulling, a squat of some type and a hip hinge of some type are considered basic movements. Hip hinge, anything basically bending down and picking something up off the floor, hinging of the hip. Doesn't have to be a deadlift, doesn't have to be a power clean, but those both qualify. Something can be a hip hinge movement, even it's like a hyperextension. Could be a hip hinge, but it is a basic function. A hip hinge of some type, a squat. Now, people could argue a leg press is a variation of a squat, maybe, and that might fit what you're trying to do. But the point is, do you sit down and think these through? Pushing and pulling. As far as pushing, there's vertical pushing and horizontal pushing. As far as pulling, there's vertical pulling and horizontal pulling. Perfect examples, bench press and overhead press, right? One's vertical, one's horizontal. A pull-up versus a row. One's vertical, one's horizontal. So if you were to do, say, those 6 exercises, that would actually cover the 6 basic movements. Am I saying you have to pick those 6? But if you want to be just all around fit and strong, it's probably important that you do an exercise, at least one exercise regularly, that matches each of those functions. So you need at least 6 exercises. Now, which ones you pick are going to be based on your goals, but you could do worse. You could do worse than those 6, a squat, deadlift, a bench press, an overhead press, pull up, and a row. All right, 6 basic exercises. Every single muscle in the body has been worked. If you were to do those 6 exercises, at least each one of them once a week, or at least a few times a month, you would be training every single muscle in your body directly. Every muscle gets worked. At least important ones, barring things like the face, things like that. You worked everything. Now, for each person, that development's not going to be even based upon that, but you would cover all your strength bases, and if your goal was general strength and fitness, you should probably get reasonably proficient at some exercise that falls into that category from each of those. But when we get into more specific stuff, people really get into specific goals, specific strength for a competitive endeavor, overall muscular development. But the thing is, when people come to things like overall muscular development, because of modern bodybuilding and bro culture and everything else, people have that tendency to just pick 5 exercises. They'll have a chest day, and they come in and do 5 different exercises. When you think about that, there's no need and there's no benefit to that. In fact, if you understand adaptation to the body, the more exercise variety that you have, the less that your body will adapt to each individual exercise. I don't mean the hypertrophy. Do you think your muscles really care what lift you do? I'm going to go out on a limb and say they don't, not as much as people think they do. Do you think your bicep really cares what specific exercise you use to recruit and fatigue every available muscle fiber in it? No. You think it really cares if you used a standing curl with a barbell or a concentration curl, as long as you did full range of motion and you created enough fatigue to reach all the available muscle fibers? Do you think it really cares? It doesn't. It doesn't know that. Your nervous system knows. All right, individual muscles only know what fibers are being contracted and needed and how much they get fatigued, how much protein degradation there is in that fiber. That's all they know. Your nervous system knows movement patterns, though, and it will train you to be better at those movement patterns. So that's where the stuff gets important of saying, okay, how many different exercises do you really need? And are you picking the ones that meet your goals best? And it doesn't have to be, oh, this one is definitely better than this one, because that's not always true. But you need to ask yourself, beyond what this muscle does to stimulate hypertrophy, is it doing anything else towards my overall goals? And I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say you want a deadlift and your choice could be a concentration curl and incline curl. You decided you want some sort of dumbbell. You need a dumbbell exercise for your biceps. And I'm not even being facetious there as a powerlifter or strength athlete background. You know what? I can understand a lot of guys want big biceps. I'm not going to knock it. Nothing wrong with having big biceps. It's certainly not going to hurt any other goal. But you say, okay, well, I want bigger biceps, but I also want a deadlift. I don't know, I would say maybe doing the incline curl might be the better choice than the concentration curl. You're going to pick one. Why? Because the incline curl gives a better stretch at the bottom of the bicep. There's at least a fair amount of anecdotal evidence that people who get a good stretch at the bottom of their bicep on at least one exercise regularly are less likely to tear a bicep when they deadlift. And that's what I mean by thinking through an exercise, is saying, okay, what does this exercise bring to the table for me personally? Now, a person who's never going to deadlift, they might not care about that. Might not matter at all. But, if tearing a bicep is a real fear of yours, that's an exercise, besides using good deadlift technique and everything else, it might be helpful. It's standing back and asking, what does this exercise bring to the table that I could or couldn't get with a different exercise for the same basic goal? And that's what I'm saying. Be thoughtful in your process. And like for me, I've broken down my thought process. I'm trying to rebuild my bench press again. I'm trying to rebuild my squats again also. My main accessory for the bench press, people say, why do you want to bench press? I don't know, because I've thought about the fact maybe I want to powerlift again one day. Maybe I need to be able to give displays of strength. I'm a fitness YouTuber. You know what? If other people can just easily show me up, and I have a background as a strength athlete, I should probably be good at all these basic functions. You know what? Otherwise, people can fairly level criticism against me for being weak. So part of my training goals involve my actual YouTube channel. I mean, this is technically my job. It's technically my job. Some people say, does it pay that much? Yeah, it pays more than you think it does. Don't let any YouTubers tell you that have a decent sized following that they're not paying their bills off their YouTube. Oh, there's a YouTube apocalypse, blah, blah, blah. Don't listen to that. They're full of it. I can tell you guys right now, I make a comfortable living, and I don't even have close to the biggest channel in YouTube fitness. Don't let them tell you that, oh, you got to donate to my Patreon because I can't pay my bills. They're full of it, guys. They're full of it. Anybody getting at least 1 million views a month on YouTube like I do, there's no way they're not paying their bills and their car note on it. Not going to happen. But back to that point. I don't know, because maybe I need to have a decently strong bench press again so that the people call me out on being weak, I can bench press. They're like, all you do is deadlift. Okay, well, maybe I should be more multifaceted. I am technically promoting fitness. It's my job. So that's a good enough reason alone. Even if I never step into powerlifting meet again, I should probably get my bench back over 315 for reps. Paused. You know what? I think I should probably do that. And I will do that. I'm working back towards that goal. I've been at it for over a month now. So that's a reason. So how about my accessories? I pick overhead press. Why? Well, it's a basic movement. But why strict overhead press? Because it's hard and I suck at it. And if I suck at something, in this case, overhead pressing has always been a strength weakness for me my entire life. If I'm bad at it and I know that it carries over to the bench press, shouldn't I get better at it? There you go. That's a good reason. Tricep exercise. What do I select? I select basically what some people now call rip toe skull crushers. Why? It has a fantastic carryover to the overhead press. It carries over to pressing in general, but it works the tricep in a way that most presses and most tricep extensions don't. And it puts the lowest fatigue on the connective tissue in your elbow than most other tricep exercises. Okay, that's given me something new. And because of the long head engagement, carries over really well to the overhead press. Well, if I'm bad at the overhead press and I know that getting better at overhead press will improve my bench press, my logic behind that is pick a tricep exercise that carries over very, very well to the overhead press, and it seems to be working. My strict press is improving, right? And if my strict press improves, my bench press will improve. Pick your exercises based upon the synergy of what they are going to do for you, of what they're going to do for you. Now, in my case, that's multifaceted. You know what? I get ragged on for my aesthetics as a fitness YouTuber, even though I don't train for aesthetics. I think it's ridiculous. I don't care. You know what? Having more tricep, more long head of my tricep specifically, would probably help as I lose body fat, wouldn't it? Yeah. More arm. That's the biggest head of any muscle in your arm is the long head. That'll also improve my overhead press, which will give me more shoulder. You know what? My chest and back and stuff overpower my delts, don't they? Wouldn't be a bad thing. So that's what I mean. Think about all the possible benefits of an exercise and ask yourself, do I need this extra exercise? Yes or no? Does it do something that I'm not already getting from something else more effectively? What does it bring to the table towards my goals? And that's the question that everyone should be asking. If you can find a better exercise that right now will help you shore up your weaknesses or reach your goals better, you should probably be doing that exercise instead. And that's what I mean by thinking this stuff through. Don't just pick random exercises and just do them just because you need an arm exercise or you need a side delt exercise. Pick exercises that are meaningful towards your goals or that help bring up an important exercise for you or help bring up a weak point for you, right? That should be the way that you're thinking. Be thoughtful in your exercise selection. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.